voices blending, melodies ascending, harmony in the air. Our songs are never ending. In the barbershop we create magic. Brad and John show, yeah, it's pure classic. No instruments needed, just our vocal range. Notes flying high, it's our musical exchange. Tracy's station may try, but they can't compete. Our barbershop style, it can't be beat. Oh, the harmony of voices, so sweet. In the barbershop of life, our tunes will repeat. No need for instruments, no need for a band. Just the Brad and John show, the finest in the land.
John, I have to tell you something. Every time I play that, only on Friday mornings, it always makes me feel good. Are you there, John?
Why does it make you feel good, Brad? What does it remind you of, Brad?
I'm just a barbershop guy. It just has a soothing effect in my utterly chaotic life. And before we jump into the top three, can I take just a minute to reflect on two personal situations that I have to get out of the way?
Please do, Brad.
Number one is I'm going to try to make it through the entire show because I have a health issue that's raised its ugly head again, and I may have to cut the show short this morning and make a unplanned trip to the hospital. So I'll just give you heads up on that, okay? Now,
okay, Brad.
Having said that, not that it's all about me, it should be about other people. And speaking of hospitals, unfortunately, my friend and former co-host on BS show, Shelley Barr, is back in the hospital. So once again, those of you who know Shelley, if you would like to go see her, call her, talk to her, try to raise her spirits, you can call me at 314-280-8880. I will tell you what hospital she's in, what room she's in, that whole kind of stuff. This is, I believe, here we are into June. And we're coming into the final couple weeks of second quarter. July 1st will be start of third quarter, the second half of 2025. And I think this is Shelley's fourth hospital stay. So, some things, what was that book years ago? Why do bad things happen to good people? Wasn't that the book?
Yeah, I think that was a Robert Schuller, the former teleminister, had a book called that.
Why can't we have the Shaw or whatever is the head, whatever the Goomba is that's in charge of Iran? Why can't we have him have some crazy weird disease? Or why can't we have all of a sudden all the rioters who are throwing Molotov cocktails at the police in LA, all of a sudden they come down with some horrendous disease where they just fall over and they are incapacitated? Why can't that happen, John? Why is that?
That's a great question. We know Shelley will come through this, though, Brad.
Okay. Having said that, it's now time to really get down to business. And what do we do on Friday morning to start off the John Combest segment? We bring in the Polka Boys.
Time for the John Combest Top 3.
John Combest is this amazing guy. For the past 23 years of his life, he puts together this incredible website, johncombest.com, C-O-M-B-E-S-T. John is traditional spelling, John. .com is the new spelling. It's .comm. No, just it's .com. And he puts together this incredible list of all the important stuff going on in the state of Missouri. Never does he ever, not even for voting returns, never does he link to a government website. Why, right, John?
That is fake news, but close, Brad. I don't link to press releases, I don't link to county news, and I certainly don't link to government websites.
So what we do is we start the show with what John deems to be the three most important things from the current johncombest.com site. We bring in this guy, and since it's Friday, I introduce, what's your name again, sir?
I'm Kacen.
And I've got three more buttons to press. What do you do, Casey?
Now on with the countdown. And here they are. We're on our way to the number one.
Oh, excuse me, I hit the wrong button.
Their stories coming up.
There we go. Now,
in third place,
Are you facing IRS liens? Has the IRS sent you a letter that says you owe them money?
Are you making fun of one of our
IRS
clients?
deadlines are hard deadlines, and they're real. Give me a call. No, it's not the guy that you'll hear advertising on Brad stations. It is Billy Long, Brad. We've discussed Billy Long, former congressman from the southwest part of the state. Billy Long was confirmed yesterday as the brand spanking new head of the IRS. Boy, the mainstream liberal media is mad about that. Headlines today include the Associated Press. Missouri's Billy Long confirmed as commissioner of the IRS, an agency he once sought to dismantle. That's brought to us by a woman named Fatima Hussein. I bet she's pretty unbiased. I bet she has some ideas on Israel, too. Anyway, Billy Long, the brand new head of the IRS, Brad. So if you're facing IRS troubles, you can call many people. You probably want to start with a gentleman that can help you with IRS letters and liens and overdue payments. Or maybe you might want to, on top of that, you might want to message Billy Long and see if Billy can help you out. Great news, not just for America, but for Missouri, Brad. One of our own is the head of the IRS.
And Billy is a very nice guy. Maybe he'll stay nice because most of the people who deal with the IRS are not nice. But, I mean, he's one of those guys that you have to say, are you really a politician? Because he was always in a good mood and very jovial. And once again, I bring up the fact that he used to be, I don't know if he still is. I think he says he still does charity auctions. He's a literal professional auctioneer with, the banter, that kind of stuff, right?
That's a good impression of it, Brad.
Right. And a good old boy from the Bible Belt down in southwest Missouri, right?
He's just a good old boy, never meaning no harm, you
right.
know?
Now,
yeah, so this is great news. And remember, Brad, we talked to, there was a big controversy because Democrats were mad because he had worked with a couple companies that sold tax credits that ended up being thrown out. And, the opposition research on Billy, I'm sure that file is pretty thick with people that are mad that Billy's a capitalist. But whatever, he triumphs in the end.
And, the interesting thing about this is there's one problem with Billy Long's appointment. If you look at most of the people that Trump is appointing, he's appointing smoking hot women like...
Yes, and Billy does not fit that mold.
Right, like Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi. And Billy Long looks like Billy, when they say belly up to the bar, Billy can be 5 feet away from the bar and belly up to the bar. Am I pretty accurate on that, John?
Yeah, I think as Billy likes to say at the beginning of his speeches, he doesn't miss many meals.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Okay, moving along to number 2.
Up a notch to number 2.
You and I have talked so much about the Kansas City Sports Stadium proposal that when we talked about it earlier this week, Brad, when we talked about the Missouri House passing that legislation, there's an important piece that I didn't mention, Brad, and that is that the whole decision isn't exactly a done deal yet. Kansas said that their offer for their special star bonds ends at the end of June. That's June 30th. So with that deadline in mind, yesterday, our friend Pete Mundo over in Kansas City had KC Mayor Quinton Lucas on. And Quinton comes on pretty much every week onto Pete's show to talk about the issues of the day. Quinton points out, look, there's still 17 days left. But Quinton Lucas says that Kansas City, particularly not just Missouri, but Kansas City has the best offer to keep the Royals in downtown, keep the Royals, I should say, in Kansas City proper. And Quinton Lucas points out the fact that he's got to give praise to Mike Kehoe. And I pulled the exact quote here, Brad. He says Mike Kehoe has been one hell of a governor when it comes to managing the Missouri legislature, getting a controversial bill like this through. It's not easy when you face all the headwinds that Quinton Lucas points out. There's unspeakable headwinds in the Missouri legislature to get the stuff done. Now, Brad, I bring this up too because we talked about it yesterday, or I should take ownership of this. I talked about it like it was a done deal that the teams were going to stay here, but the ball is now in the team's court. And Quinton Lucas says that his team, once the governor actually signs this bill, will continue to work with the Royals to work out the nitty-gritty of what it's going to take to keep them there. And, Brad, as a final point, one thing that I never thought about was the fact that probably the Royals really want to stay in Kansas City because Kansas offered this star bond offer a year ago to the teams. So if the teams were really interested in going across the border, they could have taken advantage of this anytime in the last year. But Quinton Lucas and Pete both suggest, look, based on their actions and not their words, we think the Royals really want to stay here and they were just looking for a better deal. So I guess that's a long-winded way from me, Brad, of saying it looks like the Royals are going to stay, but it's not a completely done deal yet.
Now, John, a couple questions here for you.
Yeah.
Wasn't the deal in Kansas, wasn't the Kansas state legislature, weren't they pretty much offering a blank check to both the Royals and the Chiefs?
Yeah, I think it was up to, but depending on the news reports I've seen, between 70 and 80% of the funding would come. The Royals wouldn't have to put the money on the table.
So if the Royals wanted to build a $1 billion stadium in Kansas, the state would hand them a check for $800 million? Is that essentially the deal?
Yeah, I guess if it was a $1 billion stadium, that's the way it would work out. And, there was a really good explainer of this yesterday in the Kansas City Star, a guy named Kacen Bayless, who's a really good reporter over there, a really thorough reporter. He put together a piece of kind of the next steps of it. And, Brad, kind of the thing that's a little bit murky now is that the Missouri bill requires that local governments put up that it says the state's only going to pay for half of it in total. I guess it depends on how you do that math. The devil's in those details there. But what Kacen points out is it's unclear exactly if Jackson County or if Kansas City proper is going to have to put a little bit of a sweetener in there, so to speak. That's my word, not Kacen's. If the local governments are going to have to toss in a little bit more money. And if so, remember, Brad, Jackson County just voted down a tax that was designed to keep the teams there, So it's unclear if the Royals are going to make a little bit more of an ask or if local government, how exactly local government is going to chip in.
Interesting. Okay, two more questions for you.
Yep.
Isn't Pete Mundo a conservative talk show host?
He is, yeah.
I
love the point you're about to make, Brad.
Isn't Mayor Q a liberal Democratic mayor?
He sure is, Brad. So you have a liberal and a conservative there.
Why is it in the St. Louis area we have lots of conservative talk stations? We got 97.1, and we've got Tracy and Rick's station. We got the refugee station, even our station. Why is it that Mayor Tashara Jones and now even the new mayor, Kara Spencer, would never appear on a conservative station in St. Louis? Why is that, John?
I'll tell you exactly why. First of all, they wouldn't appear on our station because we don't do the same slack-jaw, mouth-drooling interviews that other stations do. But also, Brad, I think they just don't want to be pressed. They don't want to be pushed. There are notable exceptions, like Wesley Bell going on Annie Fry's show. But to your broader point, Brad, I think it speaks to two things. I think it speaks to the reputation that Pete has in Kansas City of being tough but fair to Quinton Lucas. And I also think it shows that Quinton Lucas isn't scared of answering tough questions. And I think that's the difference right there.
A tip of the old hairpiece to Mayor Q, because if I were a liberal dude and I were in political office, a liberal dude or dudette, I would seek out the conservative stations. I would.
Yeah.
And what did you say? He's on there once a week?
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah, roughly once a week he comes on.
See, to me, that shows that he's not afraid of his decisions, that he can go on a, let's use air quotes, an enemy kind of station, because it's not like in the old days, it's not like he's going on Air America, which was a liberal talk network across the entire. But I applaud both Pete and Mayor Q. I just don't understand. I don't understand. Matter of fact, in Brad's top three coming up in the B block, and by the way, I have a new website as well, bradstop3.com. in Brad's top three.
I can't wait to see. Did you really put it together for 2 days in a row, Brad?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Well,
but do you now? If you had to give us a span, I don't want to step on your story. What were you saying? Coming up in Brad's top three?
Well, first off, Brad's top three, there's only one entry, which is yesterday. And I obviously can't put today's show up there until today's show's done. So there's only one show on there, which is yesterday's show. But if I don't end up in the hospital after the show's over, I will have it done this morning, probably by about 8:30 or so. That is if I have to make a premature, if I have to hit the ejection seat button here in the radio station and jump in the Flim Flam mobile and head to the local 911 repository, if you know what I'm saying.
Should I try to get your blood pressure elevated, Brad? Is that something I should do? Is this your way of saying for me to please give you your 9th and final heart attack?
John, all I can say is the last time I felt like this, when the paramedics got to me and they put the blood pressure cuff on me, my blood pressure, I think, was 240 over 165.
Ooh, okay. You know what? Maybe we should just play the barbershop music every few minutes to bring you back down, Brad.
I don't know. Okay, last but not least.
The number one.
You know, we heard Mayor Quinton Lucas praise Mike Kehoe, and I would say Mike Kehoe's acronym for the weekend is NFA. He is not freaking around. He is not fudging around. That's right. I'll point to a couple news sources today. And let's start most importantly with the Orange County Register in California. The headline is President Trump's use of the California National Guard was, quote, illegal, judge rules. That's brought to us by the great Caitlin Schallhorn, an alumni of the Missouri Times. She's writing for the Orange County Register now. And she points out, all the way from beautiful Orange County, that in Missouri, Mike Kehoe, well, he's no Gavin Newsom. That's right. Mike Kehoe has mobilized the Missouri National Guard. He has them standing ready just in case there's any shenanigans over the weekend. You know, there's a big set of protests called No Kings. We're going to stand up to an oligarch. We're going to stand up to a fascist. Well, Mike Kehoe is ready, Brad, and he has the National Guard prepared to act in case these anti-ICE protesters, in case these anti-Trump protesters start burning and looting shoe stores and doing the typical urban protest thing. Here's the quote that Caitlin pulls from Mike Kehoe. He has the National Guard ready as a, quote, precautionary measure, unquote. And here's the full quote from Kehoe. We respect and will defend the right to peacefully protest, but we will not tolerate violence or lawlessness in our state. While other states may wait for chaos to ensue, the state of Missouri is taking a proactive approach. In the event that assistance is needed to support local law enforcement and protecting our citizens and communities. So big shout out to Governor Kehoe's communications staff. That's a pithy, that's Pithy. That's a pithy statement there that they put out and put in Mike Kehoe's mouth there. So Missouri is ready, Brad. Mike Kehoe is NFA when it comes to these anti-American protesters.
John, here's the interesting thing. The city of St. Louis is not going to have to worry about any rioters or any looting in downtown St. Louis because there's nothing left to loot because all the stores are gone and there's nothing of value in downtown.
That's true. That's right. And maybe they could go down to Ballpark Village and steal like a $40 beer or something. Right. But that's about all.
There's nothing to loot in downtown St. Louis anymore. But if the looters were smart, and I say this all the time for the people who say, oh, I live in Clayton. There's no crime in Clayton. If the looters were smart, they would move out to Ladue, Town and Country. They would maybe go to Plastic Front and Back, go out to Chesterfield Mall. That's where they should be looting because that's where the good stuff is. It's not in downtown St. Louis anymore like in downtown L.A. You see them looting the Nike store and the T-Mobile store and places like that. No, not in St. Louis. There's nothing left to loot anymore, right?
I think that your looter advocacy is one of the most surprising elements. It's the most surprising thing of the week besides Brad's top three, which folks can hear in B Block if you go to Friday the 13th, June 13th, 2025, and listen to B Block. You can hear the second, and if Brad's heart doesn't hold out, the final edition of Brad's top three.
John, here's the stupid analogy, okay? Who was the famous bank robber back in last century when they asked him, why do you rob banks? And his answer, do you remember what his answer was? Remember this answer?
It was because that's where the money is.
Right. So if the looters are going to be smart, don't loot in downtown St. Louis. Loot in Chesterfield, right? That's where you need to loot, right?
Brad, I love the graphic that you put of yourself at bradstop3.com.
Gee, and you thought I didn't have a website.
I totally believe you'll buy a worthless domain and forget about it in a week. I also love the signature Brad Hildebrand Latin text that you will never update. You'll leave it up there forever. Where's the picture of Egbert, Brad? After you change the branding, why don't you put Egbert up here?
No, hold on a minute, John. You're making fun of me, and here's the thing. What you not are looking at the right part of the. Here, let me pull it up on my own thing, Brad.
Yeah, if you scroll down, you got the lorem ipsum language.
Right. It says about me for you traditional Latin Mass fans. Then it has about me in Latin. So if you're a Catholic person that goes to Latin Mass, you'll be able to read that and you'll know. Oh, Brad was a World War II veteran and he served in the Civil War and he also was in the back seat of the Spirit of St. Louis when nobody knew he was a stowaway, and that's why he doesn't like Kirkwood, because of the fact that they have not named it after his buddy Charles Lindbergh, the road that goes through Kirkwood. But that's
it's incredible. There's a picture of you as a sports photojournalist in the 1920s, Brad. I love that.
Boy, you've already dissected my website already.
It's very good. This is going to go. We have to bet on a range. Will this be between Bradcam or Westplex.social? How long will this one last, Brad?
We'll see. Okay, that's coming up next. And I'm still feeling okay. So, John, maybe I'll make it to the end of the show.
All right.
It must have been the White Castles I had this morning that counteract my other issues.